Hey Pilgrims, welcome back to Venture Pill.
On this week's dose, we start with a breakdown on Kidsy, an e-commerce startup that aims to give consumers access to discounted baby and kid products, fresh off a $1 million pre-seed round led by Independent Ventures.
Next, you'll hear about another Pillfolio update on Mark Lohr's Wonder, an innovative food delivery company operating in the Northeast. The startup just announced a measly $700 million in funding.
Something light, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. And lastly, we'll talk about Flip, a shopping social network that just reached unicorn status on the heels of its $144 million Series C led by Streamlined Ventures.
Great stuff, partner. Excited for this week's dose. Let's dive on in.
Here we go.
You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump.
This is Venture Pill, your weekly dose of startups and venture capital. We break down recent startups in the news and interview founders and investors to help you stay informed in the evolving world of venture. Leading off on this week's dose, we have Kidsy, which just closed on a $1 million pre-seed funding round led by Independent Ventures, including participation from Hustle Fund, Everywhere VC, Responsibly Ventures, and more. So let's start with a little backstory, set the scene here. As parents know, and even mature kids of parents know, raising kids is expensive, especially in those early years when they quickly outgrow clothes and toys, leaving parents on a seemingly never-ending cycle of buying new stuff when the old stuff is hardly worn or used.
Way to set the scene there, partner.
Thank you. Bring it home, partner.
Now enter Kidsy, a Chicago-based e-commerce startup that aims to give consumers greater access to discounted baby and kid products by partnering with large brands, retailers, and liquidation companies for their overstock and returns inventory. Pretty smart. Additionally, the startup aims to help prevent overstock and liquidation items such as kids' clothing from ending up in landfills. So kind of a multi-pronged mission here and different problems to solve with this single solution. They do not solely focus on clothes, though. They're also selling new and open box, aka new but returned items such as strollers, car seats, toys, travel gear, nursery furniture, as well as other baby essentials.
Lots of baby essentials to cover there. This startup reminds me a little flashback to I was one of these kids where I was constantly outgrowing clothes, and it just resulted in like a biannual trip to Kohl's and just buying, the next 6 months worth of clothes before the weather changed and I grew 2 inches and nothing fit anymore. So a relatable problem for sure.
You grew fast.
Fast, quickly, and consistently. I'm 6'6" now. But as you mentioned, on top of providing parents discounts to clothing and toys and other baby essentials, it is solving another problem here too, which is that almost all the big retailers, think Amazon, Macy's, Walmart, Target, etc., they typically don't restock customer returns because it's too capital and labor intensive for them to do so. And as such, those items are either shipped to other countries who buy liquidated American merchandise, or they're then destroyed in landfills, which is obviously detrimental to the environment, and we've covered how fast fashion is bad for the environment as well. It's kind of a similar issue here.
Yeah, so a little bit more on the founder's story. Prior to founding Kidsy, CEO Shresi Tandon founded her own media production company where she spent 3 years directing an award-winning feature documentary on child labor in global supply chains.
Sounds like a must-watch.
Which, yeah, I mean, she's a beast before this in totally different area, but slightly connected there with the global supply chains. She learned about the inventory glut that existed in the U.S., as well as all the supply chain issues faced by retailers. That's a quote. She also learned that liquidation and returns is a whopping, and we don't throw around that term.
It's been a while.
We kind of throw it around. Whopping $761 billion industry in the U.S. annually. That's like 50 ramen industries. I don't know. I don't remember, but
that's crazy. That's just like a sleeper. You wouldn't think that industry is even close, 1/10 to that big. This is orders of magnitude bigger than you would imagine. But yeah, and I feel like the supply chain issues, especially in light of COVID and post-COVID, is something that we've covered in the past, but makes sense and pretty cool journey that Tandon took to eventually founding Kidsy. So with all that said, the $761 billion industry discovered, it was actually when she was pregnant with her first child that she decided to be a smart consumer and shop for liquidated baby products instead of paying full price. Makes sense. And it was then that she noticed the gap in the market, wondering, where is the TJ Maxx or the Burlington for all of the baby gear and kids items? And while there are certainly tons of liquidation and overstock e-commerce companies, very few specialize in just kids gear, as they're typically more focused as a used gear marketplace for parents. And obviously there's plenty of other e-commerce kind of resell sites, but nothing specifically in the kids category.
Yeah. And so while she was still pregnant, she launched Kidsy. She was nervous about the statistics related to how difficult it is for female founders and how hard it would be for companies raising in 2024 compared to the recent years.
Yeah,
And
both of those valid concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. And that said, investors grew excited to back a TJ Maxx for kids, noting that the retailer has outperformed the S&P 500 for the past 5 years, which is a surprise to me, and also that the market for secondhand baby and kids products is expected to reach $12.8 billion by 2030, which is a stellar combination of the $12.8 billion is made to seem small compared to the 761, but still, like, that's more like you learn in business school about the total addressable market, the serviceable addressable market. The TAM SAM SOM.
Yep.
So serviceable, obtainable. So I'm seeing those concentric circles
Me too.
in my head. Oh man, I'm going to be dreaming about those.
That brings me back. Marketing 301, I think it was. But yeah, no, this company is awesome for a variety of reasons, right? The different missions and problems that they're solving, but it's helped us learn a lot, right? These markets and how successful TJ Maxx has been. That sounds like something, Jim Cramer has been shouting from the mountaintops for years maybe, but I was not privy to this. So pretty cool to learn about that within this article. And then, so lastly, we just want to close up with a little bit of under the hood, how the company works. Won't get too specific, but at large, Kidsy gets these items shipped directly to their warehouse in Nebraska, inspects them, grades them, and sells them all in-house rather than through consignment or through a third-party logistics service. And so the majority of products are brand new and unused. About 10% are gently used, which Kidsy also sells, and I'm sure there's also a market for that. And the company has tens of thousands of customers, and how they make money is by collecting a take rate of every item it sells, typically 35%, which, you think of a two-way marketplace type of thing, which is not exactly what this is, but that's usually just a few points of, take, finder's fee, management fee, whatever it may be. A 35% take rate, that explains why they've had some early success, and we'll touch on that in a second. But that said, despite this high take rate, seemingly it's still discounted goods and baby clothes and whatnot for parents. So
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. And so to close out, as I just mentioned, we'll talk about some traction. Since emerging from beta phase in September of 2023, the startup managed to hit $1 million in annualized revenue by January 2024, just a 4-month span, which is incredibly impressive in such a short time to reach that.
I mean, especially this is a startup, but it's not like necessarily a tech or AI or, something that would more easily grow that quickly.
It's true.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Just identifying a hole or a gap in the market and, becoming the company that bridges that gap.
That's what it's all about. While pregnant too, this woman is a superwoman. We'd love to have her on the show. Maybe once I move to Chicago, we can set it up. That'd be pretty
awesome.
fun. Yeah. All right. With our second company this week, we actually have another Pillfolio update, and that's becoming more common than not.
Woo!
Let's hear it.
Pillfolio is hot.
Hot. That's why, if you invested in the Pillfolio, you're doing well. You're doing real well.
Better than us, even.
We did not. It's in the disclosure.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, from episode 21, which was nearly 2 years ago, the company is called Wonder, an innovative NYC-based food delivery company. announced a $700 million round just
Wow.
last month.
That is a super mega round.
So we're a little bit behind the news cycle here, but such a big round and an interesting company, we didn't want to let it slip by. The round included participation from nearly all their previous investors, to name a couple: NEA, Bain Capital Ventures, many, many more, including some strategics, as well as notably Mark Lohr, who is the founder. He's a serial entrepreneur. He put up $100 million of his own money as well.
That's crazy.
Which is wild.
But I mean, he's a super successful investor. We'll get into his history. Most of our listeners probably already know who he is, but as if he doesn't already have enough at stake being the founder of this company, to round out the cap table with a casual $100 million is a sign of conviction. And, he believes in what he's working on, which is definitely what you want to see out of a founder. And evidently all the other venture capitalists do too, because a $700 million round, again, that is remarkable. So good for the team over at Wonder. Hooray for the Pillfolio. Let's now take a second to pause, take a short breath, and rewind back to when we covered them, again, about 100 episodes ago, almost 2 years ago, spring of 2022, when Wonder announced a $350 million Series B, putting them at a $3.5 billion valuation at the time. And again, this was back in spring of 2022, so just about 2 years ago. As a refresher, Wonder is a food delivery company taking a spicy approach to a crowded market. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, very super saturated, but definitely the winners are winning big. And so with that said, Wonder's slight differentiator in the space is that they partner with famous chefs like Bobby Flay, and at the time they were utilizing a mobile kitchen model, allowing people to order top-notch food served fresh just steps away from your door. And again, at the time, the company had only launched 6 months prior, so 6 months before spring 2022, and already had 19 mobile restaurants serving over 100,000 people in beautiful, stunning, crown jewel of the United States.
The Garden State.
The Garden State, New Jersey, baby.
Oh, man. Beautiful. Can't wait till I'm back.
Yep.
Really. Soon enough. Yeah, so they actually planned to use this funding to continue their expansion in New Jersey, hitting the great Bergen County
A county.
and growing to 30 mobile restaurants. They also have a unique mission that goes along with this business model: is sustainability, responsible food sourcing, reducing food waste, carbon neutrality, as well as sustainable packaging. And yeah, Mark Lohr, serial entrepreneur, he sold Jet.com way back when to Walmart for $3 billion. So he's got the experience in delivery technology platforms and in this broader space. In fact, you'll hear a couple more Walmart references. So he's clearly got the expertise there.
Well said. And yeah, just to circle back for a sec, hard to not rally behind the focus on sustainability, reducing waste. Similar vein to Kidsy, right? Reducing landfill waste. Like, again, just trying to add this green, environmentally friendly component to this startup that's also serving a market and making money. And so all that we just covered there was a refresher on the state of the business back in 2022. We come to you live today with a pivot alert.
Alert.
A big pivot. Sam's favorite basketball move, the old pivot.
No, you're the pivot god down to the paint.
No. Okay, fine. I'll own it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the pivot god.
Yeah, it's
I got
hard
a
to
good
guard.
pivot.
It's hard to
Yeah,
guard.
you know
For
it.
those that don't know, Brandon and I are inevitably sized up and matched up
So
against
annoying.
each other.
Would love to play alongside you.
One
While I
day.
love the good battle, it's a real Magic versus Bird type of matchup.
I know. And we have different styles, too. So he has to follow me around the three-point line because I'm a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah. And
Big
he
border.
He knows he's got to prepare
They
for
used
some shoulder and some bumping around
They
down
used
low.
to call me the Windex man in middle school basketball because I cleaned the glass.
Yep, total glass eater, this guy.
Anyways.
Yeah, anyway, moving back to the pivot alert here with Wonder. So they ended up moving away from the mobile restaurant model we just touched on to focus on brick and mortar locations instead. A little contrary to the typical opposite of that we see with all the work from home and hybrid remote working. That said, this pivot has largely been successful, especially in New York City. According to Mark Lohr, they're able to essentially fit 30 high-quality restaurants in one facility, allowing them to offer high-quality food from multiple restaurants in one order, and therefore bolstering solid profit for the rent expenses of a single location. They also find that with this new pivot, revenue is higher per employee, which is always something you want to continue to boost.
Yeah, so on the per employee, on the per square foot basis, they've kind of hacked the system a little bit and found a cheat code. But restaurants aren't actually the only area they'll play in. So they also plan to license their technology, their food equipment that they've built and refined over these last couple of years. Sort of like Amazon Web Services business model, but with kitchen equipment. So never thought you'd hear that comparison, would
No.
you?
What an episode. We have Amazon Web Services for kitchen equipment and TJ Maxx for kid gear.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, but they're selling this equipment to big facilities like stadiums, hospitals, and hotels.
Makes sense.
Now, growth has been very solid. As you said, they've nailed down how to maximize space, optimize taste, delivery time, and matching the food to the demographic of each location as well. So they do have like the higher end, Bobby Flay restaurant one in New York City, but they also have the smaller versions in some Walmarts actually. So that's their second Walmart reference. Look out for a third
For
if
those
you're
keeping track.
paying attention. They're going to serve, less expensive food for that demographic essentially.
Yeah, makes sense. Kind of a dynamic pricing model.
Mm-hmm.
So doubling down on the solid growth they've experienced, where, as we love to do, speculate a little bit on an IPO. And we actually don't even have to speculate, as Mark Lohr himself said that he expects an IPO in the next 3 to 5 years. So we'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
But that's exciting, and evidently they're ramping up, and certainly a $700 million round would be a strong indicator of large plans down the line. So again, that'll be exciting to look out for. And then lastly, just talking about, again, growth within this crowded market. We mentioned some of the big players. Lohr doesn't really seem to be afraid of the crowded delivery space, as they have a differentiated offering, which we've covered already. That said, he sees this as a venture pill classic, a rising tide lifts all boats scenario, estimating that people will continue to go to restaurants and continue to order delivery way more. Which is similar to how folks thought that Amazon would entirely replace Walmart, right? There was a point where that seemed like it was going to happen. That said, as we all know, Walmart is still around and growing and booming as a business, really, actually proving to be a pretty formidable competitor to Amazon. But it's an instance of this pie is humongous, so even if you're getting...
Grandma's been busy.
Grandma's been super busy, and even if you're getting half or a third or a fourth or any fraction of the pie, that's still a pretty good slice.
Yeah, and he also mentioned in the article we have linked that he thinks that the trends are pointing towards consumers spending more on food from restaurants rather than food from grocery stores. So grocery stores might see a little bit less of the pie. So, just trends of how people spend their money. It's an interesting take on that, but I personally don't order food very much. But if I was in New York and wanted to have a Bobby Flay meal like that delivered to my door in 30 minutes,
right?
Steam, piping hot, ready to go. And they've gotten good reviews on it all, so it sounds really great. But
yeah, no, agreed. It's an interesting trend. I will believe them here, but I agree. I think both of you and I, at least, are pretty good on maintaining a budget, grocery shopping, eating at home. But that said, I will say in the New York area, there is a certain benefit which I've experienced when I go home, which is when it's below 30 degrees and just freezing, which it is for a good couple of months, like it is in Chicago too, you are way less inclined to go to the grocery store. All of a sudden,
I wonder how their revenue ebbs and flows with the seasons.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to look into. But yeah, it's also convenient. So, seemingly Uber Eats and all these apps know when it's cold out, and they're like, "Hey, how about you get some
warm
soup?
hot chocolate?
Get some. I can tell you're craving some soup while you're watching Sunday football in this 20-degree weather." And I mean, again, all of these Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, all these companies have only continued to grow and expand, make more money. So I think there is definitely some truth in what Mark is saying. And given his success and track record, I'm going to believe him.
His story is lore.
Yep, folklore.
All right, our third and final company this week is Flip, a shopping social network which just raised $144 million in Series C funding, bringing the company's pre-money valuation to just over $1 billion. Unicorn status.
Unicorn alert. There
Let's
we go.
Yeah. So this round was led by Streamlined Ventures with participation from previous investors Mubadala Capital and Westcap, as well as App11 Corporation, which you'll hear a little bit more about here shortly.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit more on Flip. It is, as you mentioned, a shopping social network which features 60-second video reviews of products which are shared by shoppers who actually bought the product. And so a little more into what you can expect if you check out Flip. Shoppers will discover products through this TikTok-like user-generated content. They order products through the shoppable videos and a one-click checkout. I'm sure it's incredibly easy to just, buy something.
Buy things left and right.
Exactly. From there, they share their own reviews and monetize that content. And while reviewing this, you and I couldn't help but think a little bit. This reminds us a lot about IMA.
Episode 5.
Episode 5 takes us all the way back
throwbacks.
to our first interview with our good friend, Jack Rule. And if you'll recall, that had a social closet shopping component to it. And this Flip, I'll take this quick second here to give a little anecdote with Flip. So a while back, we looked back, October 2023. Within 30 minutes, I received texts from 3 to 5 close friends sending me this link, like, hey, click this. You'll get, 75% off, $100 free, whatever the great deal was. Click on that link, takes me to Flip, have to download Flip, which takes all of 20 seconds, and then open Flip, and it really was just exactly like a TikTok or any of those social media platforms you'd imagine, where it's just like you're swiping and it's giving you recommended videos based off your preferences. End of the story is that I got an $120 JBL speaker for like $6, which was a great experience. Didn't end up using Flip too much more just because I figured I'm distracted enough and spend money easily enough already. But all that to say, it's a cool product, and it really does make it takes online shopping to a whole new platform.
Yeah, and their differentiator among the big social media apps, and I think another comparison is Amazon or any review site that there are review videos on there that you'll find, is authenticity. So Flip offers only brand name products. They only promote them with video reviews made by shoppers who have actually bought the product. They only display items to shoppers based on the interests that they share in a questionnaire, like you mentioned, that they fill out when they sign up for the app. Mm-hmm. And if Flip finds that a brand, you better watch out, has paid a creator to produce content, that's a big no-no. You're banned from the platform, both the company and the creator.
Be gone.
So authenticity, like through and through, which is awesome.
Yep.
And so I think that's a big thing for consumers is they want to know what they're buying is something they can trust.
100%.
If they're taking advice from someone who's reviewing, they want to know that person is not in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and when you're looking at products online, usually you can, whether you buy one water bottle or another, like they're pretty replaceable seemingly. So I at least rely heavily on these reviews. And I'll say, speaking personally, of course, I'm pretty skeptical when you see something on Amazon has 4,000 5-star reviews. Like, okay, maybe it's a great product, and
Have you ever reviewed something on Amazon?
I have, and it actually would violate this paying a creator to produce content type of it would break that, which something I appreciate with Flip.
You dirty dog.
No, but it was all fair game. I think, but it was like, hey, thanks for ordering our product, rate us 5 stars and you'll get 20% off your next order, whatever it was, which obviously looking for a good deal. I'm gonna act on. So I think I've left a couple, but all that to say, when I see these reviews, I'm pretty skeptical. Sometimes they're in like broken AI generated seeming language, and it's just like I don't know if this is legit or not. So I appreciate Flip's premium on authenticity. And so now getting back to the round economics, we mentioned App11. So the round was $144 million, $50 million of which came from App11, which according to Flip CEO Noor Aga, to quote him, with the recent launch of our Magic OS Ads Manager, and now the upcoming launch of our advertising powered by Axon, AXON, we are confident we can help tens of thousands of brands find the right customers profitably. Additionally, he went on to say, we are thrilled to have continued support from our investors and to add App11 to the mix. So sounds like a strategic and high dollar, high conviction investment by App11.
Yeah, to this point we've talked a lot about the consumer side of it, but as any good two-sided marketplace
Yes, sir.
it has the other side, which is for the companies. And so this partnership and this investment from AppLovin is key here. So they will have AI advertising that will help advertisers connect to their ideal customers and reach more customers, including AppLovin's 1.4 billion daily active users.
That's insane.
So huge, huge synergy there. And according to their CEO, AppLovin CEO Adam Foroughi, he added, with Axon powering Flip's ads, the Flip consumer will find more products to purchase. Likewise, brands on Flip will be positioned to drive significantly more sales. Mm-hmm. So helping both sides of the equation with that partnership.
Yeah. Sounds like it's going to be a mutually beneficial partnership that they're in here, and that's kind of what you hope for.
Just like the barnacle and the whale.
Just like the old barnacle and the
Throw
whale.
back to third grade biology, baby.
Yep. Which is just what you hope for with a strategic investor, right? Yeah. And so lastly, now that Flip has reached unicorn status, the startup will shift its focus from acquiring users to monetizing their users and providing brands with the best experience and high ROI of any other platform out there. Again, there are a lot, and Flip is trying to make a name for itself within the space.
Yeah. I have not used it yet. Next time I think about, buying a gift or something, I'm sure that could be a good way to discover new products in a very trusted way.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking for another doom scrolling app.
Exactly.
But I'm sure you could get in, get out, find your deals, and make the most of it.
I was able to, but some of my fellow friends weren't quite so strong. But no knock against Flip. The app is flipping awesome. Nice. And this is a massive round. We 144 million. The last company we covered, Wonder, was 700 million. We found some mega rounds here alongside a 1 million pre-seed round. So
quite the dichotomy.
That's the dichotomy and balance and diversity that we've all come to know and love out here on the Pill.
Yes, sir. Well, Flip certainly is no flop.
Nope. And they're ready to flip the page to the next chapter.
All right, you win this one, partner. With
tip of the cap.
With that, I tip my cap to thee.
Flip the cap back at thee.
Flip. Nice. Have you ever done this? What is it?
Yeah, I think it works. Yeah. Works well with cowboy hats. Mm-hmm.
Flip it.
This is riveting podcasting.
Yeah.
This is as good a time as any to remind our listeners to check out our YouTube channel, because what Sam just did,
for the full extended cut.
What Sam just did might have been lost on the audio listeners, but if you saw it, you'd be pretty wowed, as I am.
Yeah, so check it out. I'm sure there will be a clip posted, on a social media site near you. Mm-hmm. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube Shorts as well, TikTok. We have good fun on there, so help us grow our audience there. Always appreciate it. Also want to give a shout out to my girlfriend, Melissa. She's a hardcore pilgrim, and if she listened all the way here, she will earn a shout out.
Yep, she deserves the shout out.
This will be a test.
Wow.
Yeah. See if she's a true pilgrim.
I think she is.
Anybody who's still listening is. That's the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you all passed. So
congrats.
Once again, thank you, everybody. You know where to find us next week. Trying to get some interviews coming up, which should be exciting. And summer has sprung here in Austin. So we'll, be sure to weave that into our podcast banter. But we're rambling. Let's stop rambling.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another dose of startups and venture capital. And as always, we appreciate our pilgrims spreading the word about the show. Share with your friends and help someone else make the pilgrimage. See you next time.
She told me that she only bumps my music when she's lonely. Thinks my vibe's a little low-key, okie dokie, that's alright, but wait, I don't know how to do